Well, howdy, 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 nearly senior citizen here. Greetings, boys, girls, and all of our non-binary friends, and welcome to this, another brand new day. Definitely a thumbs up. I actually slept last night. Thank goodness. I took no antihistamines before I went to bed. I took antihistamines before I went out for my walk last night, but it was about 8 o'clock-ish when I took those instead of 10-ish. So, I slept. I woke up early, pain and such like that, but also the previous night, while I was just unable to sleep because of the rebound effect of like Benadryl, it also felt like there was a railroad spike right through my arm, right here. It was, I don't know why it hurt so much. It was bad, and hopefully it's not like metastasizing bone cancer or anything like that, but it was just a bad night. Last night, I slept. That was good. Head of my bed is still up, but I had no congestion issues from my allergies and stuff like that. So either my allergies are getting better, or the damage from my lungs from inhaling all the toxic plastic fumes when my neighbors were burning carpet and plastic, has finally healed. And that's good. I'm glad. Definitely a thumbs up on that. Yay! Also, this morning I was looking around and doing stuff. I have two monitors, one for my computer, one for my consoles. I got a switcher so that it switches between the different consoles, and I can put an HDMI cable over onto that one so that I've got two computer monitors. But point being, one of the things about it is I've got spider webs everywhere in here. I don't frequently dust, and the things that I do dust are generally the parts that I can reach easily, and so there's spider webs everywhere. This morning I was just looking around and I noticed that there was the kind of cobweb type spider webs linking the corner of the two monitors. They're about this far apart from each other. And then over near the monitor over there, there's a little tiny gangly leg spider that's hanging in the spider web between the two monitors. I looked at that and I was like, oh, you little demon. And then I went, oh, well, what the heck? It's not hurting anything. So I just left the little spider there. I can see it right now, just looking over there. It's just hanging in the cobwebby web. Thumbs up. Spiders are cool. Also, just as a quick thing, in case you wondered, I haven't been showing Little Ghost in my videos because when I start recording, like right now, he's asleep. Earlier, he was up because hamsters are usually awake during dusk and dawn. And when, of course, he has to go to the bathroom or he has to drink, he'll wake up and he'll scuttle around in the cage and do stuff. And occasionally I'll reach in there and pick him up, if he's really curious about stuff. But I don't want to wake him up. I don't want to dig around in his little nest, so I just let him be while he's asleep. So I'm sorry that I don't get to show you Little Ghost. If he's ever awake when I'm recording, I will, of course, bring him out so you can see. But he's still good and healthy. Also, really quick, I watched a video. There's a couple hamster and small animal rescues that are close to where I live in Shelton, Washington. There's Munchie's place. She's, I don't think close to me, but probably within like 100-mile area. And then in Portland, Oregon, there's a place called the Hubba Hubba Hamstery. And so they're one of those ethical type breeder / rescue places. So they only breed hamsters after they know that they've got a good genetic history, and then they take care of their critters. They're not just rodent mills forcing animals to have babies over and over, taking them away and then getting them pregnant again. Those things are terrible and they don't care. It's just they ruin the genetics of the animals and it's horrible. But one of the reasons I'm talking about this particular thing is yesterday I watched a video where they had a brachycephalic hamster that they did a rescue. It's a nice hamster, it's doing great, but it's got one of these short faces and its teeth are all munged up. Finally, I had a hamster just from the set before Ghost here when all 4 of them were here and then they got old and they passed on. She had a short little stubby face. She was a brachycephalic hamster. They have breathing issues, so you'll hear them sniffing and sneezing and stuff a lot. Their teeth can be a mess. Luckily hers were fine, but they can have other issues and problems. Luckily, the only thing she had was the breathing issues. So I finally figured out what that is. It's B-R-C-H-Y cephalic. Something about, the skull and head stuff. So she was still good and she lived a long life. And then one of the things that can happen with female hamsters is like pyometra. It's a uterine infection and but that's hamsters for you. Also, as a really mild thing, it's not mild thing, I don't have a lot written down because I was so tired yesterday. I tried playing games in the early part of the day, but I was making bad decisions, I was thinking slowly, and just nothing was working. I mean, the stuff that I should have been able to do easily was just out of reach. By the time I was making decisions, the time to make decisions were long past, so it was a very frustrating part of the day. I even fell apart. I even fell asleep right around noonish as I was rendering one video. I was so tired. So I didn't think about a whole lot. I've done some stuff, I have thought about things, but I do have a lot on the list, but it's all really goofy stuff like spider web. One of them was about something I'd watched this morning also as well, because I wake up and I watch videos and such as I'm pottering about and waking up. And it was about a person who knows what really happened, but on a Tumblr post they wrote about how capsaicin, the hot stuff in peppers, makes your mouth burn because it increases the sensitivity of your heat-related nerves in your mouth, and so it feels hot. I think there's more than that because really concentrated capsaicin can actually blister you. So I think there might be just something more than just that, but. And then they also mention how menthol works by stimulating your cold nerves. And so if you eat capsaicin and menthol, they should cancel each other out. And then the next post they wrote was, oh my God, I know what Hellfire tastes like. The thing that I watched in the video, they didn't post a follow-up that I had read. This one's a couple years old because another person came in to explain that yes, capsaicin stimulates the heat-related nerves and menthol stimulates the cold-related nerves. Notice how it's 2 separate sets of nerves because it's not just the one, it's 2 different types, so they don't cancel each other out. Your mouth can be burning and at the same time be freezing because of the menthol. Yeah, you will feel both of them at the same time and they don't cancel. So thumbs up for that. Yeah, capsaicin is fun. I like eating, hot stuff because of the heat. But I'm also weird that way because I like sour foods, which is just acidic. So I like that stuff. In fact, I have to be careful with candy, sour candies, especially like the warhead type candy, because the acid in it can, if you're not careful, it will eat holes in your skin. And I have eaten a bag of candy, warhead candies, to the points that my tongue has been bleeding because of the holes eaten in the skin. So as much as I like sour stuff, I try to also be careful and not eat a ton of the sour stuff because I will hurt myself. Which I'm pretty wild this morning also reminded me of a video that I saw where these people were being absolute idiots, these 2 kids. I can understand it. I was young. But they were using a stapler and putting staples into their bodies, like into their legs and their cheeks, just bam, doing the stapler thing until they got worried and frightened and then stopped doing it. But the thing is, of course, you gotta be so careful. especially if you're doing anything in here. Your facial nerves are very important, and they can be damaged so easily. Putting staples into your face like that, you could easily paralyze part of your facial structure. So don't do stuff like that unless you're a professional, please. Hokey smokes. Well, let's see what else I have on my list, because there is one thing that I've been thinking about with the cosmic horror framework stuff, which I can't be too disappointed on my Creative Disturbing channel. I'm getting like maybe 25 views on my creative horror stuff, but you know, life is life. One of the things I've talked about is how there's this infinite city that's been peopled with an infinite amount of people. And I talk about the people that live in the city, and I talk about the people that built the city. These are two different groups of entities. The people that made the city are a couple layers of reality above the people that lived there. Because the people that made it, it was more of a, can we? And they live their lives like that about as best that I, as a 3+1 person, would be able to figure, because I've talked about how there's, in the universe that we live in, there is the Ungarden, where we are, cold and dark, and then there's a level that's higher reality, where much more, and that's the Ungare, and in the middle of the universe, the multiverse, there is the Ungara, where you bumped up several wavelengths. And then the city and the people that lived there were bumped up a couple wavelengths above that, but the people that built the city were a couple higher levels above that. And it was sort of an intellectual exercise. Can we build a city, an infinite city that has always existed and will always exist? And they sat down and they worked on it, and then they built it, and son of a gun, they could, and they did. And they made an infinite physical city. All of the directions, any direction you can go for eternity, it's a city of infinite area, surface area, and volume. And it's an infinite process through time. They did not know that from a different multiverse, so completely different from ours, that one of the powerful creatures there would come swimming through the Ungada, the void, and zero in on the city that they had made. So they thought they had made something that had been eternal as a process through time, but it was actually just a infinite, incredibly large period of time until the Gakira showed up. And then it becomes an infinite amount of time it's going to exist in that state. But that's only in that one multiverse, of course. Since there's about 5 or 6 different multiverses based around this universe we live in. Because everything that happens in a multiverse, if it can happen in this multiverse, it will. Only if it's something that can't happen in that particular multiverse does the multiverse split so that it can. After all, now, if one universe, you've got our universe the way it works. We will never have within our set of laws, with our universal constants and variations on our sets of laws, there will never be a thing where, like, people can cast nuclear fire or stuff like that out of their fingertips. If that sort of thing could happen, it would have to be a different multiverse, because in our set of laws, for our universe, for the multiverse, that can't happen. Normal laws, normal matter can't do it. Which is why there was a split when Amaterasu, the Gakira, came swimming out of the Ungada and came to the city. Because with the pressures of this being, and then the fear and grief and feelings of abandonment of the city that radiates outward, every universe in this multiverse is feeling heat and pressure. Every single universe within this multiverse has extra universal energies leaking in. And I've opened up 24 hours worth of comments in my community tab. And I'm going to go through and thank 20 to 25 people, or however many people left a comment, up to however many people left a comment. Boy, I said that one real. I can't speak English all of a sudden. I said that one well, didn't I? If I mispronounce the username, no disrespect is intended. And even though I got an American Sign Language on the fingers of this hand with my depression, fibro, cannabis use, and such like that, I have memory issues. I'm getting better all the time, but I have like fibromyalgia, and fibro fog sucks. There's no cure for that one. We have Javier Hillier. I sure hope I'm close. Thumbs up and thank you. And Rob Horror, greatly appreciated. Excuse me. K May, thumbs up and thank you. Confused Owl 29, and it's very good to see you in the comments. Thumbs up. 11th Century Crusader, greatly appreciated. We have Zane Gets Gains, thumbs up. Cat Rich Billet, thumbs up and thank you. Boo with the little kitty smiley face, thumbs up and thank you. J-A and then O with the J-O and then the A with the symbol above it, and then an O. Carlos, thumbs up and thank you. Bubba Cats, greatly appreciated. Lord of Sadness. Now I'm spitting around my dentures. My sincere apologies. Thank you very much. Juan Pena, thumbs up and thank you. Sati, I'll have to think on it. Thumbs up and thank you. Aiden Schultz, greatly appreciated. OG Grandma 101, thumbs up. Schloom, greatly appreciated. And then we have Ice Damon, thumbs up and thank you. No Views, greatly appreciated. Thumbs up and thank you very, very much. And that is it. So that's what? 18 people left me comments. Thank you so very, very much. You get me out of my head and into the world and dealing with real people, if only in text. Thumbs up and thank you so very, very much. If you could check out my various links down below, I have Twitter, Facebook, Patreon.com, and if you could become a Patreon.com patron like one of these beautiful and awesome people, that would be beautiful and awesome. I'm going to be updating this as soon as my executive dysfunction will allow me. Thumbs up and thank you all. You provide me with a roof over my head, not a food over my head, food on my table, and cat food and such for my kitties, and food for the hamster. Thank you all so very much. If you'd like to help me out without sending money through the patronage, I have a PayPal link down below. And if you'd like to help me out without sending money at all, I have an Amazon wishlist link as well. I got cat food on it. If you could check that out, it'd be awesome. Do not be obligated. I do not feel entitled. And if you cannot donate or you simply do not donate, I take all good wishes and I deposit them in the bank of my heart where I draw interest. So thank you very much. If you could toss me a like, I appreciate all the positive validation I get from my existence. Definite thumbs up. And of course, if you could hit the notification bell on the subscription button, that would be a definite thumbs up. Thank you so very, very much. Hokey smokes. So, from the news, I've read that the Gamma variant is now outtaking the Delta variant in the United States. And the Delta variant spreads like 1,000 times faster than the regular. And the Gamma is so much worse than the Delta. Please get vaxxed. Wear a mask. Maintain your social distancing. Wash your hands, don't touch your face. The pandemic is not over. I had watched on the video how most pandemics through history have been decided to end, not medically, but just socially. That's what we're doing, and it's a bad idea. Please be safe, be careful, and you take care. Have a great day today. I will see you on the flip side, and that is, well, in my book, a definite thumbs up.